Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. If things are working out right, this should be part 3, carving up this owl. We've already done all the chainsaw work. Video 1 was blocking. Video 2 we did the feathering, and now we're going to be doing the final bit of carving and finessing of the piece. Now, what I'm going to end up using are a few different die grinders here. Primarily just this one here with a 1/4 inch shaft, 1/2 inch flame burr. We may put the 1/4 inch flame burr in though to get in and do some other details. If so, I'll let you guys know. We're also going to be using a drill with this attachment and the Sandoflex. Right now I've got 2 of these extension attachments available. I'm going to have them up on my Etsy store here hopefully by this evening, or actually by the other day, but it's a couple days ago. By the time this video comes up, they should be there for those of you interested. We may use an angle grinder with a coarse Saburrtooth disc and an 80 grit flap sander and a torch. Now, I had discussed putting a rabbet in here, but I don't think I'm going to on this one. I think we're just going to, wrap the piece up, and then I might do a smaller one and add a rabbet. So with that, be sure to give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you guys haven't already. Hit that bell, hit all, and turn on those YouTube notifications. We're trying to hit 30,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. When we hit that mark, I'm going to give away a brand new Steel MS 170. I've already got it set aside, trying to keep that thing clean and pristine for one lucky winner. So help me out, guys. Hit subscribe, share your favorite video, and let's get back to working on this piece.
All right, guys, so as of now, our chainsaw work is done. We're currently using a die grinder and that 1/4 inch shaft, 1/2 inch green coarse flame burr from Saburrtoothtools.com. Now, what I'm doing is cleaning up the saw marks, cleaning up the edges of the bird right here, the underside, and we're going to clean up the stump that he's sitting on. We're trying to remove any saw marks through there or any overcuts to clean it up and have it looking as real as possible. Here we're on the back side of the wing, not the back of the bird, but the back side of the wing, and we're helping redefine or add more detail to this area with the nose of that. Now, I know we're going quick. All in all, I had about an hour and a half of video to go through to do this whole video. And so it's sped up a little bit, and we're going to, try to go over it the best that we can. Now, a lot of it is giving you guys the ability to just see what's going on here. And what we're doing with this flame burr is we're just, enhancing our lines, defining our lines for our feathers, that upper layer of feathers. We're cutting up underneath so things aren't flat. You can kind of see the depth on the left side of the screen there. You want things to have depth. You don't want to go too deep and then it looks weird. You can't have it just flat, otherwise you've got just this flat piece of art. So you're trying to, figure out that the depth and that consistency that works well with the size of the piece you're working on. Again, guys, not a bad idea to have pictures up of completed pieces around you. Study your subject ahead of time. I realize this is a tutorial, and a lot of times when we're running the chainsaw, it's easier to do that cut for cut, step by step. This video is a lot more about, cleaning up and then doing the details in the eyes and the beak, which we'll slow it down a little bit when we get to that point, which will actually be pretty soon here. Now, I like to go back over the top edges of my feathers, just hitting them really quick. This is removing any of that tear out from the chainsaw, because that does happen. You get tear out and it just doesn't look natural on the bird. So you kind of remove that, round any hard edges over that are left from carving with the chainsaw, connect any lines, make it flow. Once you get down off the head, you're down in the neck, upper back area. You're cleaning the top of the feather, and then you're kind of cutting underneath with just the nose of the bit. And you're connecting lines. See how we're connecting our lines? The tip of the saw doesn't quite do that. Boom, connect. Come down, connect. So you're connecting it. So now that feather really is that much more pronounced, and it sticks out as a better piece of detail on your piece. So again, starting Come back around, up, over. You'll find yourself reworking and working spots and removing material, and it really makes those feathers either lay more flat, or you cut up underneath and it makes them pop out. So he kind of looks like he's, you know, fluffed up. Now this is a process, like I said, does take time. All the detail on here with the die grinder and this bit, you know, like I said, I think I had about an hour and a half, and that was going slow so that I could go through, pick out shots and all that. But, you know, a piece like this, usually 45 minutes to an hour of, you know, just trying to get through it. Basically doing this reshaping and sanding. And this is the lower portion of the back where we did that diamond pattern. I'm not doing a ton of undercuts here. I don't want these feathers fluffed way out. Kind of want them to look like they're more laying over each other rather than puffed out like the upper ones. So you really round the top side in a light cut under the bottom edge of the feather. Here it's still the same concept as the back and the neck. We're just going through, enhancing the feathers that are there, connecting lines if need be. You know, use your eye. You know, I've said it in other tutorial videos, guys. I'm not trying to have you guys create the exact same look that I've got here. I'm just trying to give you some tips and tricks and just an idea of how to get the look, right? How to get this feathered look at the moment, or how to block this owl out in the other videos, how to, you know, do the chainsaw work, and now it's the power tool work. So hopefully it makes sense. But if you're just tuning in and this is like the first video and you're like, how did we get here? There's a part 1, a part 2. This is part 3. I had requests to do the rabbit down in his talons because I asked. And so even though I say this is the last video at the end, I think we might do another one, and I'll add the rabbit for those of you really looking forward to seeing that. So keep an eye out for another video in the future. It might not be a tutorial necessarily because honestly I'm just going to wing it. So yeah, something to look forward to. Now I realize you can't see much on the right hand side, but the left you guys can see. Change angles, change hands, get yourself in a good position to be able to sand and do what you need to do to hit all those spots. Now these were blocked out with the saw originally. Now we're just going through. Look how much cleaner they are from just moments ago before we even touched it with the die grinder. Those feathers look more pronounced. They're cleaned up. Once you remove that fuzziness or that tear out spots, your overall look will look so much more refined and so much more professional. And this is something you're gonna have to play around with too. You know, you're gonna have to play around with it. Maybe you don't want the feather look on the face. Maybe you don't want, you know, little specific things. Maybe you're not able to figure out how to make those look just like my feathers. It's practice, guys, right? We're laying down the base. We're trying to give you guys the framework to, you know, improve your cut, right? Step up your game. There's plenty of carvers who started carving after me who are well beyond the work that I do, in my opinion. There's a guy I know, Cody. He's been carving. He hasn't been carving as long as I have, but he's carved way more pieces than me now over the years, and his work is absolutely stunning. He just does some real amazing stuff that I'm inspired by even, and I take note from. Him and I chat, and he's just got some really great ideas and concepts and, you know, good technique and things like that. But, you know, looking around at other artists and, you know, drawing inspiration from one another, in my book, is the way to go. There's always someone else doing a little bit different, or someone else, you know, has a different idea or a different look or take on it. And it can be really, really helpful, whether you use all of it or just a little bit of it. As you guys can see, we get into the beak. I did that top line, and now we're coming down to like the lower line that I like to put in on the beak. Now this line will round down and under. We'll cut into the side and kind of down under the beak, and then we move into like shaping the beak. Now the beak can be a little stressful because if you make it too small, it doesn't look right. If it's too big, then it's oversized. This is where studying your subject ahead of time, or knowing the look you're going for, having a general idea really, really helps. And just having a basic, at least to start, a basic concept of what that should look like, you know, as far as proportions and things. Being proportionate really matters. Really matters. This bird isn't perfectly proportionate. It just does not. It's close, but it's not. Getting into the eyes, though, we have the burr angled. It's a nice thing with the flame burr. It's at its own angle, even if you go straight in. But again, you'll have to play around with these things. I'm trying to create like an upper eyelid area here before I actually get in and carve like the lower portion of the eyelid that's going to go over the eyeball. Cutting in next to the nose, sinking that in a little deep, you can tell on the right. Just sort of shaping the eye out. Now there will be some weird angles here. We're going to get into some stuff that can be a little tough. This is where it's important to make sure your hoodie strings are out of the way. Ladies, your hair's in a ponytail, especially running these tools. This will rip stuff right off your head. So, you know, die grinder, angle grinder. If you got guys, some guys have long hair, have your hair up in a ponytail, keep your beard away. That's why I like wearing the dust mask. I don't have to worry about, you know, beard getting caught if I lean in too close or anything. The tool doesn't care if it rips hair off your face or the top of your head. So just be safe, guys. So we keep working back and forth because we're trying to make our eyes as symmetrical as we can. Gets easier with more practice and more time. I have found I really like to freehand my eyes because it gives them all just a little bit of a different look rather than just hitting them with a round bit these days. Unless I'm doing little pieces, then I'll use the round bit and just, you know, knock them out for my small items. Now the eye here might look flat as I put the bottom part of the eyelid in, but it's not. There is a slight dome for the eyeball. That's what you want. In the end, it's almost going to be similar to a football shape, like the side of a football right here on the eye. So we're cutting in deep here. And I think we'll end up putting in just a little bit of a lower, right in there. It'll end up having like a little bit of a lower eyelid. That's what I'm cutting in. Tough angle, you guys can see. Nice and easy, two hands. Hands are kind of resting on the piece, glove away from the bit. Gotta have control of what you're doing. Now you could do this with a Dremel, have a little bit better, you know, control possibly because you can adjust your speeds, but this is what I like to use. Rounding my dome. And that eye is, for the most part, close to being done. Close, we're almost there, close. So now you gotta jump to the other side and basically repeat that same process. You want to, again, keep looking back and forth and do your best to match these up. It can be really difficult when you get going for the first time to try and match your eyeballs and match your eyelids and have things very similar. To have them exact takes a lot of practice. Mine aren't exact. I like the way they look at the moment, but they're not exact. I also like to keep in mind that real animals, just like us humans, are not perfectly symmetrical. At first glance, a lot of things look that way, but they never really are. Things are always offset just a little bit here and there, so you do have some room, you know, for a little mistake and things like that, but the only remedy for those is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying the video though. If so, if you haven't already, be sure to give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. If you guys are working through this series, please leave me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. And you guys can share your work on Facebook. We've got a group. It's KyleHallWoodworker, New Carvers. Guys, look it up on Facebook. You have to answer all the questions. Answer all the questions and I'll let you in the group. If you do not, I decline your request to enter the group. And the goal is, you know, to keep the spam out. Here we're popping in where the pupil's going to be. At this point, and even right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to add paint. I know I'm just going to burn this and do some highlights. I'm not sure if I'm going to paint this bird, but I like the idea of carving in the eyes. A lot of you know Ryan Cook. See the way he's able to make the eyeball pop in doing that. So that's something I've been working on as well. You know, props to him. just a little technique that he does, and I really do like it. If you guys don't follow Ryan Cook, you should check out his YouTube channel. Just look up Ryan Cook. He'll pop up, guys. If you don't know who he is, he's got usually the curly, crazy hair, big smile on his face, super happy-go-lucky kind of guy. And he just does some really amazing work, and he's got an awesome personality. Just an all-around great guy. We've had some chats in the back online, and in the past, I mean online, and just a really cool dude. Super busy guy, like most of us, but really, really cool guy. Really talented artist. So finish those eyes for now. Just jumping over and just kind of finishing up, cleaning up that feather pattern here. Just kind of ripping through it quick for you guys. Yeah, basically it's the same thing we've been doing, you know. Sand on top, connect your lines underneath, hit it on top, connect your lines underneath, work your way down the piece. As I come down the front of this piece, I want those feathers to lay down over top. I don't want them to stick out a ton, as his neck is up just a little. If his neck was like crouched down, they'd be maybe a little more fluffed out. But the chest feathers, you know, while sticking out a little bit, you don't want them to be too pronounced. So you're trying to get them to look more like they're laying flat as you work your way down to about here. And then below this, you're trying to make those feathers look like they're laying a little more flat against the body. You could just do real shallow cuts or just use the die grinder to make these, but I like to do it with the saw. I feel like it gives it just more of a natural look. You know, some are a little deeper, some are more shallow. Gives it more of a natural look, in my opinion. So most of our feathering here is done. We're going to move into these front toes and talon area. Now I'm using the nose of the die grinder, the nose of the bit, to get in underneath. And what this is going to do is give that look of separation. Kind of like we did in the beginning with that wing and the stump. We need it to look separated. There has to be a shadow line. Even if you don't paint it or airbrush any of that, you will still have a shadow line if you're able to cut underneath these, right? They shouldn't swoop down and flow with the piece. They should look separated. So shape to size, reshape, look up owl talons, owl paws or claws or toes or whatever. Look that stuff up. And study that look. Mine aren't exact, but study that look for yourself, right? Spend that time on that part of the anatomy. Anatomy is a big one. Helps you with proportions and things. But study that. So here I'm rounding in so that claw will look like it's, you know, curved into the log at the moment. Like I said, I think I'm going to do another video and eventually have this right here where we're doing the talons and stuff be a rabbit, which I really haven't done rabbits, so this should be real cool or a big laugh when it's complete. We'll see. But that's all right. I can laugh at myself too, so it is what it is, you know. Just going in, don't forget to narrow those toenails. They should not be as thick as the toes, okay? I'm still reshaping my toes as I go. Think about, you know, how straight the toe is, if it's grasping something or not. Here, you see that cut I just did with the bit? That's like the top of the nail into the toe. So we're cutting up in just a little bit, and then we'll narrow that toenail down because it shouldn't be as thick as the toe, okay? That's what I was talking about right here. Kind of narrow it down. Remove some material, round it up at a hard angle because their toenails, you know, if you take your finger and your thumb and you make a C, and you look at how your thumb and your finger, your index finger, look like a C on your own hand, and then, you know, make a fist, but keep your pointer finger out, and you see the curve of your pointer finger. That's like their toe. It just curves around, and then think of their talon coming out, and it continues to curve. So if that doesn't make sense, just study some pictures. For real though, if you guys have questions or you guys are enjoying it, I love reading comments. You guys have been so supportive over the years. I really do appreciate you guys. I only create these videos you know, to help you guys out. And it's just awesome to get feedback, to see your guys' growth, to hear how it's helping you. And, you know, I enjoy reading those things and responding. So please feel free, guys, to comment and let me know how you're doing. You know, let me know how you're making progress. Again, feel free to look up that Facebook page and join and share your work with everybody else. So just keep working those talons, guys. Keep working on that detail, study some pictures again, and, you know, work your way through it. Every time you do another one, you'll just get a little bit better. So once those are done, I want to sand up my base. I'm going to do that with the angle grinder and a coarse bit disc from Saburrtooth Tools. I think this is, or it might be the medium. It's the green one anyway. And I sand that base down real fast. Then use an 80 grit, go over it and clean it up if you want. Here I'm using a turbo torch. This hooks right to your gas grill tank, to a 20-pound propane tank. Burn this guy up. After that, we're using the flap sander on an extension I've created. I should have a couple of these on the Etsy store. If not, we'll have a couple more up here pretty soon. We'll get that listing going. Etsy store link should be down in the description below. But we're just hitting this thing with the flap sander, the Sando Flex. It works really, really well. I've also got a lead on another tool that works very similar to this, so I'm going to be looking into that, and maybe we'll have that in the future. Now we're using the die grinder again, but this time we're using a 1/4 inch shaft, 1/4 inch fine tooth, so a yellow Saburrtooth burr. It's still a flame burr, but it's 1/4 inch shaft, 1/4 inch burr, yellow. And now that we've burnt the wood, it has dried it out, so we can kind of come through and clean up our eye lines. And this is also going to remove any marks that were created from the green burr, which is a little more coarse than this one. Fine detail stuff. This is where, you know, you're taking the time. You have to be enjoying what you're doing, and you're really taking it a step farther. You know, you're getting in there, you're cleaning it up, you're redefining your lines, cutting everything back in, basically following what you just did, and just clean it up, guys. You know, sand it down. If you hate this kind of stuff, you know, it's going to be really tough to progress in carving. If you are just, you know, wow, this is mind-numbing, I can't stand watching it might be hard, right? But if doing it is something you can't stand to do and you absolutely hate, you know, something to think about is how's that going to reflect in your work. Sometimes these tedious process can become monotonous and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do that detail work. But keep in mind, you know, your overall piece is really going to pop, and your potential customers, your fan base, the people that are watching are going to see that extra detail compared to how you were carving. You know, compared to the way things looked when you started before you took the time to add the detail. That's something I personally am trying to focus on even more these days, especially with pieces this size. Little pieces, little pieces, like that little tiny owl way in the background. It's tough because you do not get a return on the amount of work you put in. You do not get a big return. Like that little guy, I'll be lucky if I get $40-50 for that little guy. And I got way too much time in that little one in the background. But, you know, practicing detail on that helps improve the detail on the next piece or the bigger piece. So, is what it is sometimes. Pay to play. Got to punch that time card and put that time in, though. So again, guys, this is just redefining those lines. We'll do the same thing here with some of the feathers, and you'll do the same thing up and around the beak. Now, I don't do all the feathers around the whole body. I just want the face to be really, really cleaned up. You know, clean lines at those feathers for overlapping. You know, all our lines up around the beak, nice and crisp. So this is the bit to do that. After the face, I did go back down and redefine around the claws and the talons with that same bit. I think I cut it out. Then we retorched the whole piece, and now I'm using a mini torch to darken up those light lines around the eyes. I want to add more color in those areas, so having a little mini torch really, really helps with that process. And then just a final cleanup around the eyes and a quick hit with the flap sander will, you know, finish the piece off to this point.
Here's that owl. Didn't do any paint work. Obviously you guys could do some paint work yourself if you want. Just keeping it burnt for now. Close-up shots here of those eyes. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe, guys. Like, hit that bell, hit all, turn on YouTube notifications so you guys don't miss future uploads. Carved right through for those nails. Get in here, you guys can kind of see the angles and detail and stuff here. What do you guys need next? What kind of carving tutorial do you want to do? Comment below, let me know. Also be sure to check out my other channel, Kyle's Chainsaw Rescue. Hit subscribe, we're trying to grow it. And don't forget, we're trying to hit 30,000 so we give away that brand new Steel MS 170. Appreciate you guys watching. Have fun. Be safe. Keep gripping and ripping.